right, unhappy Wednesday, everybody. Coming to you live once again from my humble abode here in Fairfield Township, Ohio. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio and part of the Green Legion Radio family. We thank you, as always, for joining us tonight from wherever you may be and whatever service you're using to tune in. So please pull up a chair, turn up the volume, use the company dime if you're still stuck at work. If you're home or if you got it like that at work, crack open a cold one. And let's have some fun as we put an end to day 3 of this week's hostage situation and look forward to tomorrow being Friday Eve. I see Russ Taylor and Lou Mancini already in the room. How you fellas doing tonight? Yeah, Russ already calling out John Morant. Oh, believe me, we're going to get to John Morant. I think the boner of the week this week was pretty easy to figure out. But there's an honorable mention in there, too, which we're also going to get to. So before we get off and rolling, as always, folks, if you're tuning in on Facebook or Twitter, please do not forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Green Legion. If those services are where you're comfortable, we totally get it. But just to let you know, the YouTube channel is the best way to view and listen or comment, interact with other folks in the room for any Green Legion radio show through StreamYard. So please do us a solid, even if you're on Facebook, Twitter, or wherever you're listening, either tonight or later on. Head on over to YouTube, search the Green Legion, subscribe, get your notifications, and please do us a favor and share that everywhere. Share that Facebook everywhere, share Twitter, share Instagram. Just share us all over the place. If you cannot catch our shows live, you can always watch, listen later on any of the services mentioned, but also on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, every week, Bud Light Baseball Brunch with Greg Murphy and Chris Sack. It's the best Philadelphia Phillies talk you will find. You guys all know I'm not a Phillies fan, but I don't, as much as I can help it, I do not miss those guys. Every single week I am tuned in. They do a great job. It's very informative. It's a lot of fun. And this past weekend, Chris was able to make the trip with his wife out to Denver, and him and Greg were able to do the show Bud Light Baseball Brunch live from Jackson's Lodo, which is literally right across the street from Coors Field in lower downtown Denver. That is also the spot where Green Legion had the 2021 Denver Invasion tailgate. Awesome spot. If you're ever in the Denver area, please do us a favor. Head over there, check that place out, and make sure they know that the Green Legion sent you. Let's see what else we got to talk about here. You know, we're a commercial now. I know that annoys the hell out of some of you guys with the same music, but again, I don't really have a whole lot of options. You know, even though we should be able to use whatever music we want, Facebook will dump it. If I tried to use I've got an AC/DC song in mind that I would love to use every single week. It'll dump us right off of here. So I know most of our regulars and everything, they know to head over to YouTube to tune in and comment. But, you know, we're always trying to attract more followers, more listeners, more fans. And sometimes that ends up being Facebook, and we don't want to lose that. So you're stuck with kind of the generic StreamYard house rock music, which is starting to sound more and more like elevator or supermarket music, more accurately. Russ Taylor, I know you're in the room, bud. Russapalooza, if you want to comment in there, or, you know, I'm going to put the StreamYard link up. If you want to pop in, and even if it's just real brief, give us a rundown on what you're doing there for kids in need. I really love all of that, and I do intend to participate. I obviously can't be there, but I do intend to participate. So, you know, if you want to click that link and pop on in for a minute, or just go ahead and put your comments up in the comment section, obviously, and we can read them off. Can't pop in, you're on your work computer. I got you, bud. If you want to just comment something brief there, what all it entails. I know you sent me the rundown of how it started and everything, and I think it's awesome. But if you've got just a couple of quick little excerpts or something, I'm more than happy to read it off in here every single week through the life of what you're doing there. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Russ is still working, folks, so he spends time with us as much as he can every single week, and we're always very appreciative of that. So, been a hell of a week. Last couple days have been pretty stressful. My my sunshine, my daughter Brooklyn, she has had a fever right around 102 since Sunday, since late Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and that just broke this afternoon. So we were kind of in a panic to where her birthday is Saturday. Her birthday party is Saturday, and it got to be where every morning she's crying. Monday she couldn't go to school and she missed out on her choir end of year choir party, and now tomorrow she's got there's a raffle thing going on, so she's got some tickets entered in to see what basket she can win. But it sounds like it looks like for all intents and purposes she is on the road to recovery. Fever finally broke this afternoon, so hopefully she's back at it tomorrow. I missed work on Monday to stay home with her. My wife missed the last 2 days, and so we're hoping that nobody has to do that going forward and she can get back to school. It's been a hectic week. It's also been a very hectic week at work, so that hasn't helped. Anyways, you guys hear the dog outside? My wife had to go run an errand, so he's outside the door barking, wants in here. Russ just did send us a quick note here. He is collecting Hot Wheels for the pediatrics department for kids that are stuck in the hospital. All right, so I will post something on my Facebook page after the show is over tonight. He's got the event shared. He's got an event created for it, and I believe all the details are in there. I will post that, but he does this every year. Obviously, the COVID years were down for it. So, but back in up and running this year, and this year the theme is Hot Wheels cars. I know he's been posting a lot of pictures. Russ, I think earlier you said you had 69 donations so far. I believe it's 69 or 69 cars. Just clarify that for me. But I think what you're doing is absolutely awesome, man. And my wife and I, we want to participate. So we're going to get that address that you've posted, and we'll make sure we get something sent out to you. So, how the hell are all of you? Been a heck since last we talked. The schedules come out. You've seen all the Green Legion packages come out. Russ confirms total number of cars is 69. How ironic. Nice. So we are we've got our schedule, right? We're going to talk some of that tonight, and we've seen the Green Legion packages come out, and I want to know from you guys, where do you intend to go? Where do you intend to link up with us this year? I know for Michelle and I, our intention was to go to Los Angeles. Unfortunately, that's just not going to work out with some of the other things that we've got planned. You guys all know we're coming up to Philly in just a couple of months, less than 2 months away now, I'm pretty sure. And then the boys and my sons and I are headed to Toronto 2 weeks after that. So when you couple all that together, we're a family of 5. Really what sunk it for us with LA was the airfare. And, so it just wasn't going to be able to be a thing for us this year. But we've shifted to Tampa. It's not like we've backed out altogether. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little later on after we get through the boner of the week here. I know you guys are anxiously awaiting to hear me rip apart Ja Morant for the second time, right? So Ja Morant has the honor of being the first repeat offender of boner of the week. And we're going to get to him in just a minute. Want to hop over to the room here. Russ Taylor says he can't cry at work. The current total number of cars is 69. Very nice. Ton of late afternoon and primetime games. Yep, we're gonna look at the schedule after the boner of the week and everything. We'll get to the schedule, and that's really all I have planned for the night, guys. Boner of the week. We're gonna have some fun with that, like we always do. We're gonna talk the Eagles schedule a bit. We're gonna talk Green Legion invasions, and we're probably gonna call it a night. That's pretty much it. Russ Taylor, the real danger is the Christmas game. What if the NBA schedules the Sixers at noon in Philadelphia? Hey, look, man, you guys had what? So it was the Red Sox at Phillies and Celtics at Sixers. Now, I know this is, we'd be talking about a football game with a basketball game, obviously a ton more people. I think I'm hoping these leagues are smart enough to recognize that would not be the best idea. Keenan Harmon, How you doing, my friend? Russ, kids throw those Hot Wheel cars off the sixth-floor roof garden at the Burger Center and crack the glass canopy over the carport at least twice a year. I love it. That is awesome. So there you go, Russ. You're not only bringing smiles to kids who need it, but you're also contributing to their delinquency. Very nice. Getting all bases covered here tonight on the Unhappy Gilmore Show. Lou Mancini, also in the room. Thank you for that, brother. I know you said you had a glad her fever broke, my friend. Yeah, absolutely. We were getting a little nervous, man. Did a home COVID test. You know, she's got her party on Saturday. I'm like, I can't have people coming over here if there's going to be all disease and whatnot. But thankfully that broke. So thanks for that, my brother. I know you're wanting to get over to a fair tonight. We were kind of Lou and I were kind of back and forth on Facebook on his comment on the show tease tonight. He's wanting to head over to a fair and get all the carny food. I told him I would gladly do the show from the fair if I was in town, and that led to some pretty funny stuff. You know, talking about going to get another beer and corn dog, and the bearded lady to get on the show for some good radio. That would be a hell of a time. Russ Taylor says Lou sent him a 10-pack of cards. Well, very nice. Great work, Lou. Awesome. And because of that 10, it pushed the number to 69. Love it. All right. So, without further ado, I think we all know who the boner of the week is going to be, right? There is no other way to go this week. Last week, we had a ball with it, right? There were three of them. You had Antonio Brown being a moron with the Albany football team up there, not paying coaches, not paying players, locking guys out of hotels, denying that he's even an owner. I mean, the dude's a mess. And then we went to Bob Huggins, who's been assigned to go to sensitivity training, which to me is still hysterical. You know, folks out here that I know who have met him, including my own wife, say he can be a nice guy, but sensitivity training probably not his wheelhouse, right? And then we finished it up with that idiot Oakland A's announcer who, yeah, we're not going to rehash that one. Yikes. So this week, while I'm sure there are plenty more guys to choose from, there was one glaring, shining example. And yes, folks, it is Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant. Now, I'd like to revisit that draft for just a couple of minutes before we get into this. So when Morant was coming out of college, and it was the same year as Zion Williamson and the same year as R.J. Barrett. Now, you guys in Philly, you hate the Knicks, and I totally get it. So the number one pick went to the New Orleans Pelicans. Number 2 pick went to the Memphis Grizzlies. Number 3 pick went to the Knicks. R.J. Barrett was viewed as the third best player in that draft going into it, but really he was kind of the consolation prize, whereas Zion Williamson was supposed to be the big superstar, right? The freak coming out of Duke. And then Ja Morant with his incredibly gifted athletic ability as the number 2. I mean, there was a case to be made that New Orleans may have gone with Ja Morant and let Zion go, but ultimately the marketability of a guy like the size, the strength, the athletic ability, his passing ability, and a name like Zion, very marketable. So easy choice when you look at it from not just a player perspective and what he can do for your team, but what he can do for your franchise from a merchandise and advertisement standpoint. Ja Morant, a lot like Derrick Rose was when he came out of Memphis, right? Incredible athlete, but plays with reckless abandon. He likes to be up in the air, but he is constantly landing awkward and everything. So injuries, but obviously Zion Williamson's injuries. I mean, I don't even know if that guy really wants to play basketball, to be honest with you. Every year we hear about how he's going to be healthy. He plays 15 games, 20 games. He looks amazing, and then he's hurt again, and we never see him again. Ja Morant, well, he's got a lot of off-the-court issues, right? So here we are, flash forward a few years after that draft, where Zion's supposed to be the top dog, followed by Morant and R.J. Barrett being the consolation prize. which in typical Knicks fashion, they end up with the third pick in the draft. So they end up with RJ. Well, flash forward a couple of years, and of those three guys, forget about the rest of the draft, okay? Of those three guys, you tell me who you'd rather have on your team right now, okay? Look, I know you guys, everybody's a Sixers fan. I know you don't like the Knicks, but let's be honest here. RJ Barrett has gotten incrementally better every single year. He works hard. He wants to play in New York. He somehow found himself during the playoffs this year, although came up short in, again, typical Knicks fashion. And then you have Zion, who can't stay on the court. And we move to our first repeat offender boner of the week, Ja Morant. So while I'm going through Ja Morant's timeline, you guys tell me who you would have rather had at this point. Now, I know hindsight's 2020, blah, 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 blah. But if you knew now, if you knew then what you know now, who would you take if you were the number one pick? But for now, let's just take a look at Ja Morant being an idiot. So here's the timeline, starting from last July, right? July 22nd, 2022. Morant's mother was displeased with her service, so she called her son. Okay. Where is this? According to an employee of the Memphis area Foot Action store, okay, sneakers, Morant's mother was displeased with her service, so she called her son. Morant and 8 or 9 friends arrived at the store, threatened the employee while he hid in the back room for nearly an hour. However, of course, Morant was not listed as a suspect, and his mother was listed as unknown on a police report obtained by the Washington Post. Yeah, real convenient. So you get in trouble your first time, your team and everybody around is going to try to cover it up. That's what happens there. The same day that, this reported the same day that Morant had threatened the head of security at a Memphis area mall during an altercation, causing the security guard to file a police report. The head of security alleged a member of Morant's group shoved him in the head, but conveniently, no arrest warrants are made. Again, right? You're just kind of scratching the surface here. 4 days later, July 26, 2023, Morant punched a 17-year-old boy in the head during a pickup basketball game at Morant's house, leaving a large knot on the boy's head. According to police interviews, the boy told police that Morant went inside the house and came back out with a weapon visible in his waistband and his hand on the weapon. What does that sound like to you? It's pretty freaking obvious. He went to get a pistol against a 17-year-old kid. Look, maybe the 17-year-old was running his mouth. Maybe we all know, we've all been 17 once, right? So when you have to beat his ass, you're a professional athlete, right? How many times do you hear a lot of us, myself included, talk about, fans effing around and finding out when it comes to professional athletes? Look at the, that mayhem up at in Auburn Hills. What was it? The Malice at the Palace, right? When fans overstep, when they go too far, these are professional athletes, guys, okay? Now, you can call them a bitch. You can call them soft. You can say they flop and they have no testicles and no backbone or whatever. But the bottom line is all of them, for the most part, all of them are in phenomenal physical shape. Lifting weights, running, and just, they're physically able to just grab you and show you just how little chance you really have if you piss them off. You're a professional athlete, and your reaction to a pickup, you're a professional basketball player. You're playing a pickup basketball game with a 17-year-old kid, and you punch him in the head for whatever reason. It really shouldn't matter. What do you got to punch him in the head for? And then to add even more to it, you're going to go get a gun out of your house. Nice. Flash forward, September 22nd, 2022. Morant, family, and friends stormed into a high school volleyball game after a verbal altercation between Morant's sister and another teenager. Officers tried blocking the group from entering the student section, but one of Morant's friends pushed past. Some witnesses allege the friend slapped the phone out of a teenager's hand and threatened to beat them. Morant defended the incident, saying he was just checking on his sister's safety. Part of me kind of understands you want to go and, if your sister's having trouble, she's your sister, right? You want to go defend your sister. I have two half sisters that I don't really have a relationship with. I have very close friends of mine who are girls who I consider sisters that I would have a reaction like that. I'd want to go like, what's your freaking problem, right? But to show up with an entourage and cause some mayhem at a high school, like when you're punching 17-year-olds in the head, you're going to a high school volleyball game, find a way to meet this guy outside afterwards on your own. Why do you got to show up with a whole group of people, right? Whatever happened to just go have it out. You want to go get in his face because he gave your sister some shit or whatever. If it's a 17-year-old and you're an adult, you gotta back away. But this whole nonsense, again, just more and more of the thug type of behavior. Now we move to January 29th, 2023. The Athletic reported members of the Indiana Pacers alleged a red laser was pointed at them in their team bus from a car containing Morant and friends after a game between the Grizzlies and the Pacers. Witnesses allege the laser came from a gun. During the game, at least one of Morant's friends got into a verbal altercation with Pacers players. Morant's friend, Devontae Pack, was seemingly removed from the game. NBA spokesman Mike Bass told the Washington Post, though they substantiated that a post-game situation arose that was confrontational, based on interviews and other evidence gathered, could not corroborate that any individual threatened others with a weapon. My ass. The track record would state differently, right? Whether Morant did it himself or it was one of his buddies, it just, whatever. Now we come to the more recent events. March 4th, 2023. Morant went on Instagram Live and recorded himself waving a gun, in a Colorado strip club. On March 12th, the NBA suspended Morant for 8 games without pay for conduct detrimental to the league. Morant didn't face any charges related to the incident, though Colorado, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble saying that. Though Colorado police said in a statement the video was concerning. Morant entered a counseling program, and a few days later, he spoke with ESPN's Jalen Rose, saying he doesn't condone any type of violence, but takes full responsibility for his own transgressions. Doesn't condone any kind of violence. You certainly participate in plenty of it. And now we have the most recent, just a few days ago. So, he's waving the gun around. We all saw the Instagram video, right? Clips of it or whatever. He's got to apologize. We talked about it here on this show right after it happened. How much money did that cost him overall? Keenan and Russ, I think you were both chiming in with, I think we were looking at, $100 million based on endorsements and whatnot. Was that fair? Was that the number we were talking about? I mean, and now here we go, just 3 days ago. On Sunday, the Memphis Grizzlies suspended Ja Morant after a video of him flashing a gun on Instagram Live circulated online. The team released a statement on Twitter saying he is suspended from all team activities pending league review. This is the second time since March that the 23-year-old has been suspended for showing a gun online. Look, he's in Tennessee, okay? So having the gun is not a crime, okay? I mean, technically he's not broken a law. The problem is all the track record we just went through and his behavior. Okay? This is also a kid who has been seen after scoring plays in the NBA throwing up gang signs related to the Crips, right? He's been seen throwing up those same gang signs. I think it's the Rolling 60s gang signs, if I remember right from what I read. He's been seen doing that in other videos, in the videos with the guns. So this is a kid who has not only gotten the attention of the NBA, obviously, and the entire sports world, including all of us knuckleheads who like to sit here and talk about it and bash him for it, rightfully so. But now, those of you who follow me, I think I posted it on Facebook. He is getting attention, not just from schleps like me or from, the great audience that we have here at Green Legion Radio, or from, Jalen Rose, or from, other folks related to basketball, related to the sports world. This kid is starting to get attention that he really, really, really does not want. Okay? I'm sure he doesn't want any of the negative attention he's getting right now. But at least with the NBA, you're talking about fines, suspensions. Unfortunately for him, and I don't feel bad about it, neither should anyone else, he is also facing loss of income, massive loss of income. This kid was a huge star. He plays above the rim. He is exciting to watch. My going on 16-year-old loves to watch him. And here we are with this punk. What is this? Stuttering John. It's time to arrest Trump and arrest. All right, that's enough for you. You can get, you know what? We're not even going to give him the time of day. If he keeps commenting, we'll get rid of him. Pay no attention to whoever the hell that is. I have no idea. But that is completely uncalled for. Stuttering John. Look, we like to have fun here. We like to make fun of people sometimes, like John Morant. We're not going to have any anti-Semitic or racial or any kind of nonsense on this show. So if you can't stick to those rules, kindly remove yourself and enjoy the rest of your night. Back to John Morant before I get back to the room here for your comments. So, Crips gang member Brick Baby sends serious warning to John Morant. He's a rapper and Crips member, reacted to the NBA Stars incident, as well as Morant allegedly throwing up the Rolling 60s Crips gang signs during games. The 23-year-old has previously thrown up gang signs after scoring, specifically those associated with the Crips gang. Brick Baby, he ain't effing with the gangland like that. You throwing them ends up, that's going to cost you. What you want to do, pay the Crips for the rest of your life? That's a warning. Okay? And that's a warning from someone that he should probably heed the warning. Okay? I know if I'm sitting here talking and we do this show and all of a sudden out of nowhere I get a message from someone like that, I'm probably going to heed the advice. I've got a family to protect, all that sort of thing, right? Now, I'm not John Morant. I'm not worth millions. I'm also not 23 and think I'm made of Teflon, okay? This kid has got to get his head out of his rear end and start behaving like a decent human being. Nobody says you have to go out and be squeaky clean and be this perfect role model. Hell, Charles Barkley said it best years ago. I am not a role model. I am not paid to be a role model. But there's a bad boy image to have while playing basketball. And then there's using your basketball platform as a huge superstar, using that platform to promote violence and be out waving guns around. You know, this day and age, when Barkley did that commercial, it was shell-shocking, right? You're like, holy shit, nobody had ever done anything like that before. Everything was, you wanted to be squeaky clean. You had Bird and Magic, MJ. And then Barkley comes out, he just bucks the trend. But you didn't have social media back then, right? You watched the commercial, you talked about it at the water cooler, you talked about it with your friends or whatever, and you moved in. Like, wow, did you see that commercial? Holy shit, Barkley's got some balls, blah, blah, blah. Now, you have this social media where everything, you are under the microscope all the time. And I'm not trying to say it's easy for these guys to be under the microscope like that. Okay. Michael Jordan never had to deal with that. Okay. Larry Bird never had to deal with that. Magic Johnson never had to deal with that. These guys nowadays, they do. LeBron James, although LeBron invites a lot of the bullshit he gets. But Ja Morant, in this day and age, you've got to always assume that someone's watching. All right. Whether it's your buddy with a cell phone, or you're an idiot doing selfies with it, or, there's a camera somewhere else, somebody's always watching, especially when you're a massive star. All right. There are numerous stories about Derek Jeter when he would have parties at his condo or apartment or whatever the hell it was in Manhattan. When you walked in, you were not allowed to bring your cell phone with you. You checked that shit at the door, and there is not going to be any of that bullshit going on at my place. All right. That's the type of thing that huge stars should really be taking. And Jeter's not a guy that there was no controversy. The biggest controversy you heard about him was he was running around Manhattan with Mariah Carey when he was, like a rookie or a second year or whatever the hell year it was. That was it. That was New York's most eligible bachelor. You never heard a peep. This kid's in Memphis, Tennessee, and can't keep his face out of the spotlight for bad reasons. So for all those reasons, and probably a whole lot more, easily the boner of the week. Repeat title holder for that, offender for that. And really at this point, we're looking at him as the front runner for boner of the year, and we're almost halfway through the year. So it's probably going to take quite a bit to unseat him. All right, before we start talking suspension on him, let me hop over here. I've been talking about him for a few. Lou Mancini, funny you mentioned Antonio because Ja reminds of his little cousin. He's mentally ill, and that's no joke. The first time he did his gun post, he mentioned nothing about getting better off the court. No, you're right. Right? There wasn't a whole hell of a lot of remorse there, which is disturbing. Lou also says his mind is in a terrible place. I agree. He's got his mind in the shitter. He needs to change his scenery, Ja Morant. All right? When you keep just going back and doing the same stuff, hanging with the same people, going to the same places, and nobody's saying that these guys – look, I understand if you grew up with these guys and they're your friends. When you grow up with people and they've been there to support you your whole life or whatever, they become more than friends. They become family, right? I'm sure, I know I have a few folks like that. I'm sure all of you do as well. And I'm sure Morant probably feels that way about some of these guys. What he's got to understand, and I don't know if anybody can make him understand, but what he's going to have to get through his head is that all of that negative, all of that energy is doing nothing but pulling him down. And he's allowing it to happen. It's not those other folks' fault. They are probably behaving the way they always have, only now there's, spotlight on them. It's Morant that is allowing it to go on. There's no excuse to make for him. He has to correct it. And until he does, this is going to continue to be a thing, unfortunately. Keenan Harmon says he might fight a horse racing jockey. I don't know, dude. Those guys are probably pretty quick. Lou Mancini. Keenan, my only fight these days are an all-you-can-eat buffet. That's what I'm talking about. Wait till I come to Philly. Them cheesesteaks ain't going to know what hit them. Keenan Harmon. I'm a gun-owning pacifist. Okay. Keenan, once again, sounds like Ja wants an orange suit. It's a status symbol in certain neighborhoods. Yeah, well, you know what, man? It's one thing to actually be part of one of these gangs and committing the acts that normally land gang members in prison, be it drugs, be it violence, be it murder, be it any of those things. It's a whole other thing to be an NBA superstar and throwing up signs like the way we call them gumball gangsters, right? That's what this feels like. It's either that or we're about to find out this kid's the next Aaron Hernandez, right? I mean, I don't know if there's another option in there. He's either a gumball gangster or he's the NBA's version of Aaron Hernandez coming up here. I don't know. What I do know is if I had a member of an actual gang make comments like he didn't threaten him. He's just like, dude, you want to owe this gang for the rest of your life? That would be enough to tell me, yeah, maybe I might want to reel it in. All right. What else do we got here? Lou Mancini, Jeter got some serious trim. Yeah, you guys want to look up something funny about Derek Jeter? Go look up. There's like, so of course his hit list is a mile long. He's married with 3 kids now, but his hit list is a mile long. And they actually took like his top, chicks he was with, and they put him on a baseball diamond. Each of them had a starting position. I mean, it's an impressive list. Let's just say that. Russ Taylor, cheesesteak. You damn Skippy, brother. Allen Iverson needs to go talk to him. I'll bet if AI could do it all over once again, he'd make different decisions. Yeah, he probably would. I agree with you. Apparently, Gilbert Arenas has tried to talk to him, and that's gone nowhere. So I don't know. He's 23 years old, and he may just be that hard-headed where he's just not listening to anybody, which is really a shame. I know my son is a fan of Ja, and Ja is fun to watch, but I'm not going to turn on Memphis Grizzlies games there. So, what do you think for suspension for this kid? He's going to get suspended. So, you take a look at a lot of these leagues when they get something serious like this, like, if it's an assault and battery, if it's a gun charge, if it's something like an idiot acting like this, gambling, right? They will tend to try to take a look at what other major sports leagues have done and not entirely base their decision on that, but they take it into consideration. So if you look at the NFL suspended Calvin Ridley for a full season for placing an $1,800 bet. Now, look, you don't want to, and look, I don't really, it feels a little messed up because, you got FanDuel that's like sponsoring NFL and shit like that. But when you have actual NFL players gambling on games, they have insider knowledge, man. Whether they're gambling on their own game or gambling on somebody on a different game, they have friends and stuff like that. I just don't think you can't allow that precedent to be set. So while it felt harsh in comparison to things that have happened to Deshaun Watson, and the suspension was less for some of these folks, I guess what I would say is the wrongdoing is not suspending a guy like Watson longer, not so much suspending Ridley for the year. Does that make sense to you guys? I think that's the best way I can explain it. But as far as I'm concerned, there's been a lot of talk about a half a season for Morant. I think it needs to be a whole year. Keenan actually says it right here. Keenan Harmon, a year, and he must get psych help. And I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. Psych help. We want to see you do some things in the community. We want to see your circle and your, everything change around you. We don't want to see this kind of BS behavior anymore. Change your people, places, and things. That's the way to get out of this mess. And he's got a meal ticket. He's incredibly gifted. The way he plays with such reckless abandon, that might be a short career. And if you're already going to have a short career because you play so renegade, you don't want to go robbing yourself of additional time for shit like this, right? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So anyways, there's your boner of the week. Now, that was the boner of the week winner by a country mile. Before we move on to the NFL schedule, I do have an honorable mention for the boner of the week, and you guys are not going to like this one at all. My honorable mention for boner of the week is Joel Embiid. You could say Glenn Rivers, you could say James Harden. I put it on Joel because he's the MVP, because he's supposed to be the leader, and they didn't deliver. 3 straight years now. You get bounced from the semifinals. So Sixers get bounced from the semifinals for a 3rd straight year, a series in which, Embiid and Harden wildly inconsistent. And then your 2022-2023 NBA MVP, and deservedly so, states in his press conference that him and Harden cannot do it alone. You're not wrong. But let's not act like you guys were out there setting the world on fire consistently either, okay? It's not like Embiid was averaging 40 points a night and Harden was averaging 25 with 15 assists and nobody else did anything. That's not how this works, okay? You're supposed to be the leader. Like I said, you're supposed to be the leader of that team, the captain of that team, the MVP of the league. And I'm sorry, my fellow degenerates here, that statement at that press conference is about the biggest pile of weak sauce that you can possibly muster up. There is no excuse for what he said. You do not throw the rest of your team under the bus. You can talk about how it's a team and, we have to get better together and things like that. But the statement of him and Harden can't do it themselves is bullshit. And you guys should all of you there in Philadelphia need to hold his ass accountable. I know a lot of you who follow me also follow Chris Sack. He was vocal about it too. So I'm sorry, Diaz, brother. You guys can no longer allow a guy like that to slide. I know a lot of people are going to point to a coaching change, rightfully so. Maybe that changes some things. But Embiid's been allowed to get away with this, right? He's not delivered in the biggest moment, right? So it's time for that to change. It's time for all of you to hold his ass accountable. There you go. So that's my runner-up for Boner of the Week. John Morant is easily the boner, but Embiid deserved his spotlight too. What do we got here? Lou Mancini. I like it. Poor showing yet again. I'm in charge, and if I'm in charge, I blow this thing up. Yeah, dude, I'm with you. Captain Demp's in the room. How you doing, sir? Are you still mourning the loss of your the DC the DC team? What do they even call? I don't even know what they're called. I'm sorry, Cap. I tried to watch those, the XFL and the USFL, and that was just bad football to me, dude. I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it. Good day, sir. Good day to you, sir. Great to see you. All right. So now that we've covered all that, let's move on to what? What was the biggest thing that happened to all of us this past week? The bird schedule came out from over the last week, right? William Demp's, Captain Demp's. It's terrible on TV. It is terrible on TV. It's terrible. I look, dude. I could go to any football game, right? And usually I can watch any football game. I've watched some bad games over the years, unfortunately, including our own team. We talked about this a few months ago on this show, man. I don't know that there's room for the XFL and the USFL to continue both playing. It has watered down the football it just terribly. I think those two need to merge at some point. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon, but I think they need to merge at some point and maybe become a legitimate kind of minor league for the actual NFL. I think that's the best way that goes. So your undrafted free agents go there, right? Every NFL team has a USFL team that it's affiliated with, like baseball does it, only without, rookie, low A, and all of that. You just have this league. I know a Canadian Football League is out there. And I also know that college football is very much a minor league for, especially now with these kids getting paid. But I think there's a step there, an opportunity there for those two leagues to become that minor league, that next step. Guys that aren't quite ready yet to go from college directly to the pros, where you get that one level in between. Kind of like if you listen to baseball guys, like if you listen to Chris and I talk for long enough, we'll talk about guys that, they're at AAA, they get called up to the show, and it just doesn't happen for them, right? They can't make that jump. They're called 4A players, right? Kind of a quote thing. This would be that kind of 4A, that next step before they get into the pros. I think that's the best thing that could happen. That's my opinion. Watching what's going on, some pretty bad football, dude. All right. The 2023 Philadelphia Eagles schedule is out. And so are the Green Legion invasions for this year. I know a bunch of you, at least a few of you, called into Quimby over the weekend. I did. I know Captain Demps did. And Keenan, I believe you did too. I don't know if anyone else did. But I'm sure enough of you probably listened in to get some of the details on at least Los Angeles, Tampa Bay, and Kansas City. As I mentioned at the top of the show, our destination for this year was going to be Los Angeles. Unfortunately, we've had to shift away from that, and that's because the airfare just, we're buying tickets for just my wife and I. We're not getting group rates out of Philly. Yes, it's a shorter distance from here, but the airfare. I think the airfare was going to add somewhere around $1,200 or $1,300 to the trip. So we shifted to Tampa, which is not only cheaper on the Green Legion package price, but I just booked the airfare last night for $450 round trip for both of us. When you factor in the family trip we're taking to Philly in 2 months, plus the Toronto trip for the baseball stuff for the boys and I, this was an easy thing. Plus, I love Tampa Bay. Right? If I had to pick a spot that I was going to retire in the United States, Tampa would probably be it. Tampa or Scottsdale. But it's probably Tampa. Lou Mancini, what's the cost for Tampa? So for a couple, I think 2 to a room, I want to say it was $990 a person. I think that was it. So you want to go, dude, just head on over to Green Legion, greenlegion.com. Click on that trips and tailgates and go to the road trips. Click on the Tampa one. Everything's in there. It'll tell you, how much per head per room, and depending on how many people per room, which hotel you select, how many days you're going to go, and whether or not you want flights included. Now, the wife and I, we're not in Philly, so we got our own flights from here, and flights to Tampa from here are cheap. I mean, I could have gone cheaper. I just decided to go with a better airline. Instead of flying Frontier, we're flying Delta. So that was the way we went. Captain Demps, wife will dig the beach. Yeah, Tampa's awesome. It's still going to be pretty toasty down there in late September, but it should be a good time. The tailgate is at George Steinbrenner Field, which is right there by Raymond James. That should be an awesome time. And in the game itself, but we have friends of ours that are down there. So I know the Green Legion trip kind of starts on that Saturday. It's like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, fly back Tuesday. Wife and I are going to fly down on the Thursday and stay with friends of ours who live in the area. Thursday night, we'll have dinner with them Thursday night, hang out with them on Friday, hang out with them Friday night, Saturday morning, have breakfast and chill for a bit. And then we'll head up to the hotel, check in, and be there with all the Green Legion mayhem as we enjoy it so much every single year. We really do. You guys, I mean, it's really the best. I try to tell people, especially my group that we're building out here, they're like, you do this podcast, but it's in Philadelphia. What's this all about? And I tell them, like, look, I started out just doing like a couple of ticket and tailgate things, right? And then I got to meet Quimby and a couple of other folks. And then I would go into Philly and I would do the tailgate there. And then we would go in 2015. I was in Atlanta for work when we were playing the Falcons. I was in Dallas for work when we were playing the Cowboys. So I hooked up ticket and tailgate with them there too. 2020, we went to Punta Cana with them. Green Legion Radio had already launched. I did the pregame show. It was the first time I had done it. And, I've got, Quimby / myself, Right next to me on this side was Lito Shepherd, and then Hollis on the other end. I mean, it was just awesome. So you go from being a patron, just strictly a patron, to a patron and a friend. And now I get to, somewhat work with them. So I mean, it's a lot of fun, and they're really a great group. And then you have the groups within the group, right? It's all around a great experience, and it is all attributed to Quimby and his staff and all of you. Captain Demps, you're always there. You're just as huge a part of that as anybody else, and it's all of you guys that make it so enjoyable and make the trips always so much fun. So, all right, enough mushy here. And I see Captain Deb switched over to YouTube. Very good. Appreciate that. All right. Oh, what's this? Keenan. Keenan says, see y'all in Tampa. All right, so you're coming down to Tampa. All right. Yeah, and Keenan's got the right idea, Lou. If you're going to come, you want to do the Hampton. That's where we're staying, too. They got free breakfast every morning, and really, that's probably the number one reason why we went to the Hampton. I want that free breakfast because Lord knows I'm going to spend enough money on other shit. Okay, let's get to the schedule here for a few minutes before we call it a night. So, week 1, we open at the New England Patriots. You guys saw the Green Legion post. More details to come on that. Right now, ticket prices for that are absolutely through the roof, and that is because that is going to be, the big Tom Brady love fest night, which, I mean, what in the blue hell are the Patriots thinking with that? Why, of all games, would you pick the Eagles coming in and pick that game for your Tom Brady love fest night? First of all, you're probably the worst team in your own division. Forget your conference. You're the worst team in your division coming into the season. Now, obviously, on paper, it doesn't mean shit until you get off and playing. But on paper, you're the worst team in your division, and you're welcoming the defending NFC champions who were a minute away from winning the Super Bowl last year. One play away, one defensive stop away from winning a Super Bowl last year. And this is the night you choose to have Tom Brady love fest, right? September 10th at 4:25 p.m. at Gillette. So my thoughts are, and I've seen this posted, and I think Diaz shared it on Twitter. There's been a few different, suggestions that the Green Legion should reach out and try to get Nick Foles to join us at Gillette for Tom Brady night. And I can't tell you how much I would. Now, I'm not going to be able to go on that trip, but good Lord, that would be the absolute best. Tom Brady. Yeah, well, you know what? Here's the backup quarterback who spanked your ass in the Super Bowl. How do you like them apples? That's a win. All right, I get that it's at Gillette. It's the opener. It's Tom Brady love night. They're all going to be all pumped up for it. We are significantly better than that team, and I expect that to be a win. Week 2, the home opener, Thursday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. Look, Kirk Cousins off of 1 o'clock games is garbage, okay? And until he proves otherwise, I'm going to continue to call him garbage in primetime because, well, that's his track record. He's garbage. That's a win. Week 3 at Tampa Bay. The game that we are going to. The game that Keenan is going to. Captain Demps, I'm sure we'll see you down there. Lou Mancini, don't know what you're waiting for. Get signed up. I also know there's a man, Ed Harris. He used to live here. Used to frequent the back porch. We actually hooked up with him for a couple of minutes while we were in Indianapolis last year. Talked to him for a few. He came and joined us for a game at the back porch this past season. Lives in South Jersey now. He intends to be in Tampa Bay. Friends of ours who are part of my Midwest Eagles nest, along with Ed, Kevin and Marissa, they are talking about coming to Tampa Bay. Another part of our Midwest Eagles nest, Roger, don't know if he's going to book the whole trip with Green Legion, but he has asked about game day options, ticket and tailgate, which I told them, that stuff will be out next month. So, we're trying to bring a little crew down there. And, we had Keenan, we had Captain Demps, Keenan and Pam, obviously, Captain Demps. And let's get Lou on board, and we'll be rolling. I have I committed to Quimby to do the pregame show down there. So we're looking forward to that as well. That's always a great time. Goes real fast. It's only an hour. God, it goes quick. But Tampa Bay, who's starting at quarterback? Kyle Trash or Faker Mayfield? Take your pick. Either one's going to get his ass kicked. It's 3-0 Birds at that point. Week 4, we come back home for the Commodes. Who's their quarterback? Right? Does this team scare you at all? They don't me. The best thing that's happened to them, unfortunately for us, Daniel Snyder sold the team, right? I was perfectly happy to have that guy be the owner of that franchise forever. But he's out. So, we just hope that the incoming party is as dumb as he is. But either way, 4-0 Birds on that one. Week 5, we head to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. Bummer. I really wanted to go on that trip, but it just didn't work out. If Stafford comes back and he's, who he's supposed to be, who he was, that could be a problem, especially if Kupp is healthy and on the field as well. But ultimately, I expect that to be a win as well. I think we're 5-0 at this point. Then we're going to come back across the country, and we're going to go at Jets. This one has the potential to be a problem, okay? Aaron Rodgers appears to be buying in to the skill position guys that are there for him with the Jets, right? And that's, offensive rookie of the year last year, Garrett Wilson. They also have Breece Hall coming back, who, in my opinion, may have made his own statement for offensive rookie of the year had he stayed healthy last year. They added the kid that Rodgers wanted him to bring in, Allen Lazard. Not a great wide receiver, but a big guy. It presents problems in the end zone, and they play really tough defense. And they also had the defensive rookie of the year with Sauce Gardner. And you can expect Sauce to be blanketing A.J. Brown for the duration of that game, would be my opinion. So that one has the potential to be unpleasant. I'm not gonna shy away from it. I'll go ahead and call that one a loss. Now we're gonna come home on Sunday Night Football, and we're gonna take on the Miami Dolphins. All of you there in Philly should get a nice visit from our good friends Lou Dominguez and Ashley, along with their brand new venture, 305 Sports Travel. For all of you, for any Dolphins fans that are that can hear this at any point, 305sportstravel.com. Get on there, get registered so that you can start getting information from Ashley and Lou. We want them to do really well, and I'm sure they will. They're just great people, and we couldn't be happier for them. They will be up in Philadelphia for that game. That one's at home. That one's a Sunday night. We're going to be pissed off, I think, coming off that loss to the Jets. And I think that's a rebound game. So now we're 6-1. Week 8 at the Commodes. Again, I usually I look at the schedule to start the year. For a long time, I would look at the schedule to start the year, and I would just say, okay, let's look at the division and call it 3-3. Okay? And then we'll just figure out the rest. I don't see it that way with our division anymore. I think the Commodes are just not a good football team, and I think we sweep them this year. I think that moves us to 7-1. And then the following week, Dallas comes to town. This one's in Philadelphia. This is a Birds victory. We are 8-1. Heading into the bye week. I love the bye week placement right in the middle of the season. Going to come out of the bye week at Kansas City. This is the one that we were all kind of hoping was going to be that opening Thursday night. I kind of already had the PTO time penciled in to take that Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. And unfortunately, it shifted. And now it would be really. I asked the wife if it would be all right if I kept that in mind for a guy's trip type of thing. But it's going to be very difficult to pull that off, considering. I mean, we're right on top of Christmas shopping season, and here I am again with 3 kids. So, but at Kansas City, guys, look, we're 8-1 going into that game, and I think we're doing really well. But at Kansas City, if this game's in Philly, I'm probably saying birds. It's at Kansas City, and I don't think we're getting our revenge in this one. I think this is loss number 2 of the season. Not that we're going to get blown out or anything, but I think we dropped to 8-2 after that game. Then we're going to come home from Buffalo. We come home for Buffalo the weekend of Thanksgiving. Look, you guys all know that I had like a slight man crush on Josh Allen, right? But they have done nothing to give that kid what he really needs on the offensive side of the ball, which is a legitimate running game, right? And an offensive line that's good enough. He is a phenomenally gifted quarterback. He's got a cannon for an arm. He's 6'5". He's 230 or 240 pounds. He runs like a deer. But he can't be your whole offense. He's got to be able to have someone reliable to hand the ball off to. There's no threat of that. And maybe by that point they go and fix it, but I just don't see it, man. I think they're going to come into Philadelphia expecting to do some damage. I think we're going to kick their ass. I don't see that game going well for Buffalo. So now I've got us, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got us at, what is that, 9-2. Right, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 9-2. Then we're going to be home for San Francisco. They are going to come in extraordinarily pissed off, right? They really, really feel, as I'm sure you've seen all of Debo's comments. I just can't understand how these professional athletes are still bitching. I expect it from fans, okay? I expect it from fans, especially the way Quimby describes the San Francisco 49ers fan base. I don't expect it to go on for this long from the actual players. I think that's obnoxious, right? I keep forgetting to do this. I'm going to have to set like little reminders on my phone, and I keep forgetting to. I want to keep remembering to put this damn link up there more frequently, and I keep forgetting to do it. I'm sorry, guys. But so they're going to come in mad, and I think we're going to be pissed. And dude, I don't know if any of you. I don't know how much of San Francisco you guys watched last season prior to the NFC Championship game. Brock Purdy, don't get me wrong, it was a great story last year. But Brock Purdy, if you watched those games, he got away with a lot of errant throws, okay? Now, you could say that Jalen got the benefit of our guys coming down with a lot of 50-50 balls too, which could also go the other way. We all know how that goes. But they weren't really – like Jalen's throws weren't really errant throws. They were just, I'm going to give my guy a chance to go up and make the play. If you watched Brock Purdy during that run that Frisco was on, I really, truly believe he was much more a benefit of the outstanding skill position players that surround him, more so than him actually being a good quarterback. And our good friend Dave Conant would agree. And I think Fito would agree to an extent as well. So this game's going to be in Philly again. I don't just like I don't think we're getting our revenge in Kansas City. I don't think Frisco's getting their revenge in Philly. I don't. So I have us winning that one as well. Then we're going to go to Dallas, and I do think we split with Dallas. I think we win the home game. They win in their house. No, I don't think Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. No, I don't think Tony Pollard is the guy that can carry the load like Zeke did in Zeke's first few years. But I do think that they're talented enough to figure out a way to get a win at home against us, especially having already played in our house. So that's loss number 3 on the year. Then we're going to go to Seattle. Look, I like Kenneth Walker III. Good kid. Liked him at Michigan State. Good running back. I think what Geno Smith did last year was really, really good. You know, he had himself a nice year and cashed in on it. And good for him to revive his career after only really being known for getting his jaw broken by his own teammate in the Jets locker room. However, just like Brock Purdy, if you go take a look at Seattle's games from last year, and I watch a shit ton of football, the first half of the year is where Geno really made his mark. It's not like he was complete shit in the second half, but he was really much, much better in the first half of the year. And I don't know that you're not going to see a league that has, adjusted, because I think that's what happened down the stretch to them. League adjusted. You know, they got the film on Geno. And these guys study it. They're good at their jobs. And so I think we're going into Seattle, and I think we're winning that game. I understand road wins are tough. I don't give a shit. I think we're going into Seattle, and I think we're winning that game. And then we have the final 3 games of the year. We're home for the Giants on Christmas Day, home for the Cardinals on New Year's Eve, and then at the Giants to finish it off with a game that we don't have a time for yet. For in week, or it's really the date isn't even set yet. It's just to be determined. So that's their flex crap where they might move us to Saturday. They could move us to Thursday or Monday or whatever the fuck happens with all these guys now. I don't know. But we're beating the Giants on Christmas Day. That's in our house. There's no question in my mind. We're winning. I think we win our final 3. Okay. I think if I had to just take this on paper, it's a good possibility we're a 14-3 football team. Now, if you use the rule of thumb where your division you're going to split, you might be 12-5, 11-6. Okay. If for some reason the Giants bite us in the last week of the year, if for some reason Frisco does get their revenge, Miami could be I'm not trying to say Miami's gonna be a pushover. They had a lot of speed on that offense, but we all know things can happen. But just take it on paper. Take a look at the matchups. I don't see Buffalo as the juggernaut that everyone else does. I think in the AFC they are clearly behind Kansas City and Cincinnati. And then getting pushed by Miami, by the Jets, by the Chargers, by the Jaguars, who have a chance to make some noise in one of the worst divisions in football. Sandwiched in between the 2 Giants is play the Cardinals. Okay? So on December, here's a good one for you. On December, I think it was December 1st of the 2021 NFL season, the Arizona Cardinals were the number 1 seed in the NFC. They've won 5 games since then. 5. Right? We went to Arizona last year and beat them in their house. Wasn't a pretty contest, and it wasn't easy. We went to their house and we won. This one's in our house on New Year's Eve in Philly with that crowd ready to lose its shit. Please. Kyler Murray, as Quibby likes to say, still can't reach the Crispix. And the Giants, look, man, the Giants, and I got a lot of friends that are Giants fans, man, and they're good dudes. I love all my buddies. Like Sam, who comes on the show, he's great, huge Giants fan. I'm not trying to say that they're friggin' horrible. I'm just, the way I look at it, looking at it right now, okay? The Eagles lost a lot of talent during the offseason, but restocked that cupboard really, really well. Of course, it's all on paper right now, but restocked that cupboard pretty well with a lot of talent, which, I'm calling us the Georgia-Delphia Bird Dogs, okay? I need to patent that thing. The Giants, I don't know where they got incredibly better. All right, now signing Darren Waller is a big deal. He's a problem. He's a good tight end. catches the ball well out, and he'll be there as a safety valve for Daniel Jones. But they still don't have that receiver, right? That A.J. Brown, that Stephon Diggs, that guy, Jamar Chase, that guy that when Daniel Jones, we all see Daniel Jones when he gets pressured, he freaks out, he gets frantic. He needs that receiver. It can't always be the tight end. He needs that wide receiver to say, this guy's going to get me the catch I need and put it on him. He doesn't have it. And now you've got Saquon Barkley, who's not wanting to be there anymore. You know, they offered him big money for a running back. He turned it down. It is painfully obvious he does not want to be in New York anymore. That's the appearance, okay? By the same token, doesn't look like Micah Parsons wants to be in Dallas anymore either. I think he'd much rather be wearing midnight green. Captain Demps, I don't know if you're still with us. If you are, do you have any insight on the Kelly Green game? Do we know when that is going to be yet? I didn't see anything. I haven't really looked for anything either. Sometimes that stuff gets bottled up until the week before. But any insight there would be great. I've got my Jerome Brown jersey ready for that. Looking forward to that one. The Eagles in black. I'm not the biggest fan. It's okay. It's just not my favorite. I do have a black Westbrook jersey. I don't wear it specifically for that. My black Westbrook jersey is really like my football Friday at work that I wear. But I do have the Jerome Brown old school jersey that I'll be ready and run. That'll be the first time that I wear anything besides my Weapon X on game day. So, Captain Dents, no, you haven't heard anything, but he hates the black jerseys. I know, bud. I know. All right. So we talked about a lot of shit here tonight, and I didn't have much to go on. Really just the schedule. Where are you guys going? We all talked about Tampa, right? Lou Mancini, if you're still in the room, you better be on that website looking at how you can find your way down to Tampa Bay. Love to see you. Can't take it with you when you go, bud. Get your ass down to Tampa with the rest of us. Book that at the Hampton, and let's have a good time. So, on that note, I am starving. I'm going to go grab something to eat, and then I'm going to spend some time with my sunshine, who is finally feeling a little bit better, and hopefully that carries into tomorrow morning so she can get back to school, and hopefully she has some birthday luck and wins her little raffle basket that she tried for. So for all of us here at the Unhappy Compound, to all of you out there in Green Legion Radio land, this has been the Unhappy Gilmore Show, part of the Green Legion Radio family, and we thank you, as always, for being with us. Cap, thank you very much for that. It says, good show. Very much appreciated, sir. Always a pleasure seeing you take some time out of your day to hang with us. I know that little girl of yours keeps your hands full too. So, guys, you have a great week. We'll come back at you next week. Probably going to talk. Guys, things are going to start shifting to baseball here, man. And, we're still going to talk football as much as possible, but, at some point it does dry up. So, you guys have a great week, and I will talk to you throughout the week on social media, or we will see you back here next Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on the Unhappy Gilmore Show. And as always, folks, go Birds! All right, kids. You have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.